tracking the latest in the tropics coming up.
Plus, in about an hour, the community will come together to honor the police officer who was brutally killed at a gas station while off duty. And
our first look at the 83-year-old who police say drove into the path of a Brightline train and was killed. Why her family tells me they do not think she was too old to be driving. I'll explain coming up.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6 at 4 p.m.
We start News 6 at 4 with the tropics. Tropical storm Gabrielle formed earlier today, becoming our next named storm of this hurricane season. We are in peak hurricane season right now.
Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas joins us now with what we need to know about Gabrielle. Jonathan?
Yeah, and thankfully still on the quieter side when relative to peak of the hurricane season. There's the latest of it, a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm. It's not looking the healthiest. That's when we like it. You see thunderstorms to its north, thunderstorms to its south. The center is right here, and it's not even all that tightly wound. So again, a couple of good things happening with Gabrielle. The first and foremost, that it is not going to come close to Florida. You see over the next couple of days, going to slowly work its way back to the west. You see the intensity staying on the lower side as well until it makes that turn towards Bermuda. Then we're looking at likely the second hurricane of the 2025 hurricane season. Again, right now it's also doing battle with a lot of dry air. The icon represents where the center of the storm is, so it's kind of all sheared up north and south. So again, bunch of positives when it comes to Gabrielle. There was a third system that was highlighted by the Hurricane Center earlier this afternoon as well. We'll take a look at that and a few of our thunderstorms that are hanging out in central Florida coming up at about 4:17, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. In less than an hour, the Edgewater community will come together to honor the police officer who was shot and killed at a gas station Monday afternoon.
Your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed is outside the Edgewater Police Department where a memorial continues to grow. Molly.
Well, Ginger, here over the last 2 days, we've been watching as people have turned out to pay tribute to Officer David Jewell. People bringing wreaths, just like here, I'm actually going to step out of the way, like this gentleman right behind me, laying down a wreath next to Officer Jewell's car. We've seen them signing the posters, laying the flowers, anything they can do to try to pay tribute to him. But now we're watching as the community is now coming together from around Volusia County to try to support not only the officers here, but Jewell's family, while everyone still wonders why this even happened in the first place.
Everybody heard about the officer being murdered so tragically. You know, I was trying to think of ways to do something for the family.
These Edgewater residents had never met before this tragedy, but all felt compelled to reach out and find a way to honor Officer David Jewell.
These people put their lives out on the line, and unfortunately, you know, this guy wasn't even working. So that to me is even worse. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, at the end of the day, I figured let's do something back for them.
They're now teaming up and planning a memorial ride for next weekend.
We had people already interested all the way from Tampa. It's going to be next Saturday. We're going to start at Teddy Morris and Harley, and we're going to end at Hawks Park in Edgewater to pay tribute to this wonderful individual.
The Volusia Sheriff says Monday, 24-year-old Eduardo Machado, a cashier at the Ormond by the Sea Circle K, shot and killed Jewell. Surveillance video shows Jewell at the counter, Machado walk in and then raise the gun. He says Machado shot Jewell 24 times and hasn't given a straightforward motive so far.
Right now, we're all waiting for answers like everybody else. We watched a barbaric act play out this week, and we're all just wanting to know why.
Mike Scudero is the president of the local police union that includes Edgewater.
So we've got 30-plus individuals who lost a family member this week, and with no preparation, no planning, just gone in an instant. And so we're trying to support our folks here.
And the city started a GoFundMe for Jewell's family that has already almost $45,000 raised so far, with hundreds who have donated. And again, in about an hour, the city will be holding a vigil here with state leaders, city leaders, and hundreds are expected to turn out for that as well. I'm your Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Molly, thank you. We are learning more about the 83-year-old woman who died from driving into the path of a Brightline high-speed train. Now, this happened near US 1 and Easter Boulevard on Friday in Rockledge. She was on her way to the gym at the time. Your Brevard County community correspondent James Sparvero asked people closest to the woman why they think she drove through the crossing arm.
since Monday when I received this terrifying video of a driver going through a railroad crossing arm into the path of a Brightline train and dying when her car exploded, many continue to ask why Eleonora Mitchell did that. Her family just gave me these pictures of the 83-year-old, and they tell me she was still in great shape. In fact, they told me last Friday Eleonora was on her way to Planet Fitness, just on the other side of US 1 from Eister Boulevard, where she worked out all the time.
She was much active than I am. She really was.
In her Rockledge neighborhood, I also met Eleonora's close friend, Dorothy Shaw. Like Eleonora's family, Dorothy also dismisses any theory of suicide. I've asked police for its investigative report of the crash, which might answer these questions, but records told me it's not available. Dorothy and Eleonora's family think something medically related may have happened to her.
She was in good shape to me.
Good enough shape to be driving?
Yes, yes.
Last year, after police said 2 drivers caused deadly wrecks with Brightline trains in Brevard, the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization talked to me about putting crossing arms on both sides of traffic lanes at more intersections in the county. This is the complete list of where those improvements are expected to be made in the next couple of years. When I asked the TPO for a new interview following this tragedy, I was told they have nothing more to say about safety measures.
The things was down, and it was doing what it's supposed to do. God bless her.
Along with the surveillance from the doctor's office here at the intersection, the police told me they're also waiting to receive Brightline's video from on board the train. We'll continue updating this story on clickorlando.com. In Brevard County, I'm your Rockledge community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
The driver accused of hitting and killing a woman in a wrong-way crash in Volusia County is being held on no bond. It happened yesterday on the ramp from I-95 to US 1. The Flagler County Sheriff's Office says they were trying to stop a car with 3 burglary suspects wanted out of St. Johns County. The chase continued into Volusia County, where the suspect's car crashed into a Volkswagen Beetle while driving the wrong way up an exit ramp on I-95. The driver of the Volkswagen, a 71-year-old woman from Ormond Beach, was killed. Deputies say the suspect tried to run off, but they were quickly caught. The driver, 40-year-old Stevens Charles, is facing multiple charges, including fleeing and murder. He appeared in court earlier this afternoon, and a judge ordered he be held on no bond. One of the other suspects in the vehicle also appeared in court today. 38-year-old Josh Hansen is facing more than 20 charges, including grand theft and burglary. Now, because of those charges, he is being held on no bond as well.
Now to an important reminder to stop for a school bus. In Brevard County, the buses now have new AI technology to catch drivers breaking the law. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez is in Brevard County with how the new bus safety program works.
Goal is to change driver behavior and reduce illegal passings to ensure that children get to and from school safely.
I think it's a good thing. I've seen lots of cars kind of go over the school buses, like go around them just because they're impatient, and you don't know who's crossing.
Parents know not every driver respects school buses when they're stopped, and now those drivers will get a hefty citation in the mail.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I'm fully supporting it because I see a lot of people ignoring it, and we have very, very busy road here. So I think it's a great idea.
The bus safety program is a collaboration between the sheriff's office and the school district designed to alter driver behavior.
The program has equipped school buses with advanced safety technology, including AI-powered stop arm cameras that detect when a car illegally passes a bus.
Florida law requires drivers to stop when a school bus displays its stop signal, but parents continue to see people drive recklessly near school buses.
I witnessed a little girl get hit at the last place we were at in Texas. By just driver being impatient around a suburb. Speed limit was 25 miles an hour. Must have been going maybe 35 or 40. So
during the camera's pilot program, 10 buses recorded nearly 800 illegal passings. That's about 2 passes per bus per day.
Even if you're late, you're just late, and that's fine. It's not worth accidentally hitting somebody.
The footage is sent to law enforcement for independent review before the driver is sent a $225 ticket.
Data from Bus Patrol, the company that created the AI technology, shows that over 90% of first-time violators do not illegally pass a school bus again. Reporting in Brevard County, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
To Washington, D.C. now, where the fired former head of the CDC appeared on Capitol Hill this morning and had a warning for lawmakers. Former Director Susan Menarez was fired less than a month after her Senate confirmation. Today, she raised a red flag over what could happen if two kids at the Vaccine Advisory Panel, Health and Human Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. recently overhauled, proceeds with its scheduled meeting tomorrow.
Based on what I observed during my tenure, there is a real risk that recommendations could be made restricting access to vaccines for children and others in need without rigorous scientific review.
She also said she believes she was fired because she would not commit in advance to approving the recommendations from the Vaccine Advisory Panel and would not dismiss career scientists without cause. An HHS spokesperson said in a statement, her remarks to the Senate committee have factual inaccuracies and leave out important details.
Now to a look at Wall Street after the closing bell. We saw the Dow spike as the Federal Reserve announced it will cut its key interest rate by about a quarter point. Today's announcement was the Fed's first rate cut of the year and had been expected for some months. And President Trump even called on this interest rate cut for some time. Now, in the next half hour, News 6 investigator Donovan Myrie will take a look at what this all means for you and your wallet.
Well, during a time when everything is going up in price, your water bill could be next.
The local city considering an increase to raise rates and what you need to know coming up. Plus, a golf course with more than 100 years of history here in Central Florida is getting some major upgrades. I'll show you how it's going high tech. That's next.
News 6 Insider is sponsored by Orange County Library System.
A historic Central Florida golf course is going high-tech. The city of Orlando's 101-year-old Dubs Red Golf Course is getting a nearly $4 million makeover.
From Doppler radar that tracks the shots on the driving range to new air-conditioned simulated classrooms, let's take a tour of what's changing.
This is all going to be turf.
Dubstred General Manager Rodney Reefsnyder is overseeing construction of a brand new learning center coming to the historic golf course's driving range.
We'll be able to give the classes, they can hit full shots out into the range, get all that instruction, and then just turn around and now work on short game shots into the practice green.
And when the weather gets rough, students will soon be able to step inside a new air-conditioned, high-tech tee box. Oh, what am I hitting here?
You're hitting a 7-iron.
So I took a swing at it. How bad was I?
This tells you your ball speed. This tells you your club path.
Oh, I would have gotten 132 yards?
Yeah, you would have went 130.
That's good.
Director of Instruction Steve Brewer says the technology from TrackMan analyzes your swing, breaking it down into 44 separate categories.
This is center line is the middle of the fairway, so you're not too far off of the middle of the fairway. That's the height of the shot.
The technology also available in 36 redesigned bays in the now covered driving range. Out here, each golfer's shot will be tracked by Doppler radar.
You've got just straight practice scenarios. You've got different games you can play. You can actually play different golf courses. And I'm very excited to say that TrackMan's actually going to map Dubstred Golf Course. So any other TrackMan facility has the capability of downloading that and playing that course as well.
But that's not all. Next to the chipping green, chips and beverages will now be served at the range's new 19th hole.
Why is having something like this so important for the city?
This brings the community together. Couple that with what's happening with the tap room, and now you really have the feeling of a country club, but you don't have to pay those fees. You just come here and enjoy it.
Orlando City Commissioner Robert Stewart says it's important to preserve the course's storied history while making it on par with other attractions.
We want families to come out in an evening and sit around and hit golf balls the same way you would at Top Golf and other those places. We're not going to be able to do it right here on our own property.
That's incredible.
It is. I'm so excited for this to open. It's, such a family-friendly spot. Construction started back in April. They're hoping for a grand opening in October, right when the weather should just be perfect to go out there. But yeah, you'll be able to reserve one of those 36 new bays and sit out there with benches and have some drinks.
Nice
and all
swing,
the things.
by the way. What's your handicap?
Thank you. I don't know, but I did play on the high school golf team. But that was about the last time I played.
She's an athlete.
It's been a minute, yeah.
All right, time now for a look at our forecast. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now. It would be a great day to be out there, except for about an hour ago where it was pouring down. I'm like, what's happening outside?
It's cooling
right
it
now?
off for us.
That's right. There you go. Yeah, we're getting back into our more humid days. If you're out there today, you certainly felt a touch more, at least where compared to the weekend and certainly the last couple of days. And here are our thunderstorms to go with it. The biggest activity right now hanging out towards parts of Osceola County in and around St. Cloud on the south side of Lake Toho. You can track those storms right alongside me tonight by downloading that free News 6 weather app. You get the lightning detection as well. So you got that push alert if you're watching us in St. Cloud tonight. Kissimmee, we're on the dry side. Do be on the lookout, though, that we do have lightning striking a little far away from the parent thunderstorms this evening, as is typical for this time of the year, really any time of the year. We have some heavier downpours around Cocoa, Rockledge. No lightning being detected in those cells just yet. Cocoa Beach, we have some very heavy rain as we take you closer in to the Atlantic coastline. I think it's going to be south and then southwest of the Turnpike. That's going to be the highest opportunity through the evening. I'm going to take you back on the west side of the Orlando Metro, closer to Ocoee, Winter Garden. Also have a downpour, a couple of lightning strikes being detected as well. So again, if you're planning on taking the dog out around Ocoee, Winter Garden, and it's dry right now, just be mindful that we do have lightning around. Taking you through the rest of the evening, that's 7 to 8 o'clock, and here's the Turnpike for reference. It's that yellow line, and pretty much right along and around the Turnpike and then to the south and west. That's where we're going to kind of consolidate the storms that we have out there right now. Overnight tonight, going to be watching for a few lingering downpours to hang out to sea over the next, really through the pre-dawn hours of tomorrow. 6, 7 o'clock, same deal, stray downpour right along the Space Coast. Otherwise, most of us are going to be dry to start, and then we'll try to do it all again. I think rain chance is going to be on the lower side. Again, once we get to tomorrow, that's 7 o'clock, we're going to try to push everything towards the I-75 and Gulf Coast of Florida. once we get into tomorrow afternoon and into the evening. Some raindrops on the lens, some dark clouds out there. We saw the storm over Merritt Island just a minute ago. It's a live look with our Launch Credit Union camera this evening. We have air temperatures back into the upper 70s, the breeze at about 10 miles an hour right along the coast tonight. We're right around 80 in Oviedo. Good evening in Mount Dora. We're still at 87. You can clearly tell where it has rained already as we've shaven off about 5 to 10 degrees. Wildwood, we're checking in at 89 degrees. Now here's a look at tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Renewal by Anderson.
One of the things we're watching too, the dew points, it's that comfort number. Again, it's really starting to go back up. Over the weekend, we were in the mid to upper 60s. Now we're in the low to mid 70s. That puts us back into the humid to very humid category. You certainly felt the difference across most of Central Florida today, and that's something that we're going to keep as well over the next couple of days as we start to tap back into some tropical moisture. That's helping to feed the extra thunderstorm chances that we have out there tomorrow. Rain chances, again, about 40% as we move through the afternoon. Air temperatures tomorrow, right where they were today, about back to the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees. Latest on Gabrielle, again, this is not going to be a threat to Florida or the United States as it kind of works its way towards Bermuda. Should even stay to the east of Bermuda, but something we'd be watching for them. But again, this is not going to be a player in our forecast at all. Over the next 7 days, we're keeping rain chances at 40% through the start of your weekend. Also, as we get into next week, those rain chances go down just a smidge to 30% on Monday, guys.
Jonathan, thank you. Families in Apopka say enough is enough.
How much more they could soon have to pay for water and why. That's next. A live look now at downtown Orlando. This is from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope camera. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Light Orlando, delivering hope together.
Your water rate could go up soon.
In just a few hours, leaders in Apopka will decide on whether to raise the water rates. Leaders say they need to hike water, reclaimed water, and sewer rates by 15.5% each to replace aging pipes and lift stations. Dozens of neighbors spoke out against the plan at the last council meeting 2 weeks ago. At the time, it forced commissioners to table the vote until tonight. At a workshop last week, people talked about how the rates went up around 20% just last year.
If it were 1%, 2%, 3% increase, inflation goes up every year by that. So, pardon my French, a fart in the wind. Now, 40% over 2 years. It's a result of poor planning, poor budgeting.
If commissioners approve the rate hike, it would take effect October 1st. The city council will have a budget meeting at 6. The regular meeting will be at 7 tonight. Some new rules could be coming for e-bike riders. The discussion happening in one local city and the changes it could bring. That's next. Plus,
every day I just pray that it gets better, my friends.
This man believes he was infected with flesh-eating bacteria while he was mowing his lawn. We'll have his warning for you coming up. You're watching News 6 as we take a live look at I-4 near Lee Road. It is wet out there right now. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are following several top stories right now.
The Edgewater community is mourning Officer David Jewell, who was shot and killed Monday afternoon. Officer Jewell was off duty when deputies say he was shot multiple times by a Circle K clerk in Ormond by the Sea. In just about 30 minutes, a vigil will be starting where several city and state leaders are going to be joining with the community. We're learning the 83-year-old woman who was killed in a collision with a Brightline train in Rockledge was on her way to the gym at the time. Eleanor Mitchell's family tells us that she was in great shape and worked out at the Planet Fitness near US 1 and Ister Boulevard all the time. Her family and friends think something medically related may have happened to her. An 8-year-old boy was hurt after falling overboard while on a pontoon boat. This happened yesterday evening on Lake Harris, that's in Lake County. Florida Fish and Wildlife say the boy had to be flown to the hospital. Investigators say no other boats were involved.
2 drivers arrested and accused of threatening others behind the wheel in 2 separate road rage incidents. Detectives say in both cases, they grabbed guns to make a point. Your Orange County community correspondent Troy Campbell looks at a frightening road rage trend.
The 37-year-old suspect from Friday's incident is still locked up here at the Orange County Jail. With several recent road rage incidents, we spoke to a law enforcement expert about ways to stay safe on the roadway. What goes through your mind when I tell you just over the last 4 days, there's been 2 people arrested in Orange County for waving a handgun at another driver in an apparent road rage incident?
It causes major concern.
Former Osceola County Sheriff Russ Gibson says driving in Florida, you should always assume a driver has a firearm.
Firearms are so readily available, and I think without thinking, sometimes people's tempers flare. They know it's there. Instinctively, they could grab it. Meaning to or not, they could fire that shot, kill somebody, and end up in an 8x8 cell with their elbows on their knees, their hands on their face, looking at where they're at, and that's when remorse kicks in, and it's too late then.
The Orange County Sheriff's Office says on Friday, deputies showed up to Dean Road and Winder Trail after a driver said 37-year-old Gregory Anderson, quote, brandished a black handgun while threatening to kill the victim in a road rage incident.
Many of these folks, once they lose the temper and they act out of rage, road rage, they don't think about the charges until they come later on when you're facing a felony offense.
On Sunday night, deputies also say they were called to 39th Street and Orange Blossom Trail for a road rage incident after a man said he was driving with his wife and toddler when 41-year-old Luell Joseph, quote, pointed a black firearm at him and began shouting.
It was a road rage incident.
Back in June, we showed you how 33-year-old Stefan D'Souza was arrested. He's accused of using a Glock-style handgun to threaten a family visiting in the heart of the tourism district near International Drive in the Beach Line.
Your name, ma'am?
Haley Miller.
In July, 25-year-old Haley Miller was arrested after a woman named Ava Hubble told us Miller waved a gun at her while they both were driving along West Kelly Park Road.
She tried to hit my car and run me over. So I tried to get on the side of her, and my windows are rolled down because I don't have AC. Sorry guys, I'm just a girl. But she pulled her gun out on me and was trying to shoot me.
And Gibson also says if you do feel like you're being followed by another driver, drive to a public place and dial 911 immediately. I'm your Orange County community correspondent, Troy Campbell, News 6.
Some e-bike riders may have some new rules to follow soon. Last week on News 6 at 4, we told you how the Flagler County Sheriff presented a new ordinance to Palm Coast City Council. The new rules included banning e-bikes for anyone under 13 years old and limiting speeds to 10 miles per hour on most sidewalks. Yesterday, city leaders discussed it and decided to lower the age from 13 to 11. And they also nixed the 10 mile per hour speed limit. The Flagler County Sheriff says there currently is not enough on the books for his deputies to regulate e-bikes.
Many of the e-bikes are not following what the statute says because they adjust them, they tweak them, if you will, so they can go faster than state law allows. And we've had one fatality, we've had some injuries.
Sheriff says he's also working with sponsors to advance a bill in the state that would enhance the state law so everyone would be on the same page. In Palm Coast, city leaders will discuss the issue again early next month.
Now to a warning from a man battling a flesh-eating bacteria. He says it happened while he was mowing the lawn. We do have to warn you, this story is not an easy one to watch, although we are blurring the most graphic photos. Reporter Scott Johnson explains how the man is recovering after a 6-week hospital stay.
Nate Manor is in pain right now.
This looks incredibly painful right now. How are you?
It is definitely painful. So every day I just pray that it gets better, my friends.
sitting on his front porch roughly 24 hours after being discharged from the hospital with one leg totally bandaged, having to regrow all its skin.
I'm in incredible pain, and I worry about it because it's so extensive. I worry about getting infected and then being in the hospital again, being sick, everything else.
So how did this happen? He was out mowing his grass in this ditch that runs alongside his house, technically public right-of-way. And down here, he says he cut his leg on this old, rusted, broken pipe. Just a small cut, and he believes that's what caused all this to happen.
When I went to the emergency room, I was out of my mind. That's why I asked my mom to take me to the emergency room.
What do you mean you're out of your mind?
I was delirious because the infection, it was eating the leg underneath where you couldn't see.
The ditch is the couple's best guess as to where the bacteria came from, and now his longtime girlfriend, Sarah Taylor, is left as his caregiver.
And they told me he had necrotitis fasciitis, and I've heard that before, and I knew exactly what it was, and I was like, how?
It involves wound care after they removed skin from one of his legs at a hospital in Gainesville to graft it onto the other.
What's it like for you kind of as his caregiver day to day right now? What's it like in there?
It's a little bit stressful because I don't want to hurt him because I know he's in a lot of pain, and a lot of times I freak out because I'm not qualified to do this. I have no training. I'm not a nurse, I'm a cashier.
Manor says he's relieved it appears his leg has been saved and does not need to be amputated. But his irrigation business, that's up in the air as his work trucks remain parked behind his house.
We don't really have nurse staff here to change this out with. It's just me and her.
Overall, Manor's still in shock this could happen, he believes, while just out cutting the grass.
My goodness. Well, new orders issued by the state will allow insurers to take over thousands of policies from Citizens Property Insurance. The Florida Office of Insurance Regulation made the orders. 10 insurers will be allowed to take more than 250,000 policies from Citizens in mid-December. The approvals are part of what is known as a depopulation program aimed at shrinking the size of Citizens, which was created as an insurer of last resort.
We want to make sure that companies that are taking on that risk have the financial and conduct ability to take on those risks. And so we are depopulating Citizens, but we're doing it smartly and carefully.
Data from the website says Citizens had 771,000 policies as of Friday. While it remains the state's largest insurer, the depopulation program has helped shrink Citizens nearly by half since 2023. Today, the Federal Reserve cut its key interest rate for the first time this year.
News 6 investigator Donovan Myrie joins us now in studio with what this actually means for our wallets. Donovan.
Well, Lisa and Ginger, earlier in the show, we already talked about what happened, basically how the Fed did cut. So first of all, let's start off with what the Federal Reserve is, because a lot of people actually don't know. The Federal Reserve is the central bank for the United States, created in 1913, and basically it's there to ensure that we have a stable monetary system. So what exactly happened today? They cut 0.25% in Fed talk that's known as 25 basis points. The rate range, and this is important because a lot of people think that it's just a percentage, it's actually a percentage range. They went down to 4 to 4.25%. It's the first drop, as you guys said, in 9 months, basically the first drop of the Trump administration. So what does this mean to the regular consumer? Borrowers, you have a drop in home and car loan rates. Mortgage rates are actually kind of going down already because there was an anticipation that this was going to happen. If you have a credit card that has a variable rate, you're going to see a drop in that because it's tied to the federal rate, okay? Savers, this is kind of the bad news. You're going to get a reduced interest rate for your savings accounts. So if you had one of those accounts that was a high yield savings account of like, say, 4.5 to 5%, you're going to see that start to drop. You're also going to see lower yields on CDs and money markets. So what's the bottom line, okay? Small blips today. The market reacted a little bit. A lot of that was already built in. We'll have a better idea tomorrow as more people kind of listen to what the Fed board said. Pretty much most of the changes we're going to see today with this rate drop are going to be very gradual. Lisa and Ginger.
All right, Donovan, thank you. Well, have you had a chance yet to try the City Food Hall in Ivanhoe Village?
Yeah, there are a lot of options inside. Matt Austin shows us all the must-haves in the I-4 food tour. That's next.
We are tracking some thunderstorms across Central Florida, plus the tropics are starting to bubble a little bit. We'll give you the rundown on Tropical Storm Gabrielle coming up at about 4:47.
And before we head to break, we want to remind you to check out our primetime schedule on News 6 Plus. We have a new take on the day's news on News 6 tonight. That's at 9. Then go in depth as we track the tropics and answer your weather questions at 9:30. Then watch the late news an hour earlier. It's all tonight on News 6 Plus. Download our streaming app for free. Search WKMG in your smart TV's app store. It's also available on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.
I am dedicating this meal right here to my cardiologist. You can't walk 5 feet without tripping over a food hall these days. The question is the food any good? Today, we're testing it at City Food Hall. Let's see what you should try. But before we get to that food, let's check out some RVs from our sponsor, Giant Recreation World. You gonna come to a food hall and not try the burger first? This is Smash Dunk Burger Place. Man, my blood pressure's rising already. That's really good. Crispy, buttery burger patties in there. Then you have the egg yolk dripping down with the bacon. Let me get a little more of this. This is just crispy little burger pancakes laid on top of each other. Ton of cheese in between. This is good. You gotta keep me away from this place. You can't eat it every day, but you can eat it sometimes, right? So right here, let's get a good look at these guys up close. These look really good. This is the bacon version of the egg dose. And this is the steak and eggs. And then look what they gave me on the side. Maple syrup. Get a good look. There's a healthy slathering of sauce on this guy. It's like some little cojita cheese, maybe? Okay, I'm a little scared. Okay. Oh, catch this, catch this. It's dripping. It's doing it. It's fantastic. It's delicious. Okay, this one has scrambled eggs, cheese, and some very crispy looking bacon. Slow-mo it. There we go. All right, enough of that. Something funny going on in here. The bread is almost like French toast. So it's like French toast, scrambled eggs, cheese, bacon, all in one. That's too much. Too much. So, this is a great little breakfast. So I just stuffed myself on a ridiculous cheeseburger, triple patty. I also hit egg dose here. Next week, we're gonna try 2 more, and then I'm gonna tell you what I recommend you try when you come to the City Food Hall. That's next week on the I-4 Food Tour.
Sponsored by Giant Recreation World. Visit Giant Recreation World today.
Yeah, yet again. Well, another week where we have nothing in front of us.
Correct.
Messed up.
Yeah, every single week.
Totally.
All right,
week.
meteorologist Jonathan Kegas joins us now, and it looks like if you're going out for dinner tonight, you might need to take the umbrella with you.
Yeah, especially the further south you are. That's going to be the theme again, and really to the west of the Turnpike tonight. We're watching on the west side of the Orlando metro area. Before we didn't have any lightning. Now we have a few lightning strikes hanging around Ocoee tonight. You can track these storms alongside me by downloading the free News 6 weather app. There's lightning detection built in, so you get a push alert when there's a lightning strike within 10 miles of your location. Then you can dial up the radar and track where the storms are heading. Right around Kissimmee, especially on the south side of town, that's where you have the heaviest stuff. It's just kind of meandering here, so going to be watching for the potential for a little bit of minor flooding and poor drainage areas. So I have my eye on that for you guys. It looks pretty much the same, the radar picture does, since the last time we talked about 15 minutes ago on the south side of Lake Toho in and around St. Cloud. Still some lightning striking every now and then. Bigger cell here that's kind of popped up on the Brevard-Osceola County line. This is going to be pushing to the south and west, closer to Harmony, where we already have had a downpour going on around Holopaw as well. You see the arrow pop up in the next 15 minutes or so. Things are going to start to get real dark. If you're looking to the north and east, it's certainly getting that way already. So again, just an early heads up that we're starting to get a lot of lightning with that. You see the lightning strikes start to increase, and that's a sign to us that the storm is strengthening a little bit. As we take a zoom out, you see what I'm talking about. There's not a ton going on the further north you are. So I think we're pretty good tonight in Marion County, also Flagler County. We do have a few stray thunderstorms just on the Lake County, Volusia County line to land. We have a couple of light showers around. This is pushing back towards Astor from the southeast to northwest. That's an early heads up in about 5 to 10 minutes. Some heavier rain coming back down in your direction. Here's the theme of the night. There's 8, 9 o'clock tonight. Turnpike pretty much running right here through Lake County back towards Orange and Osceola County. Most of that stuff is going to consolidate by the evening to stay on the west side of the Turnpike, and then it'll fizzle out. Then we'll turn our attention to a few stray downpours early tomorrow morning. That's going to be 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning. A couple of stray showers on the Space Coast. Otherwise, I think most of us are dry when we wake up. There's 2 to 3 o'clock in your afternoon. We'll pop a few thunderstorms, about the same percentage as where we were at today, 40%, although I think they quickly hightail it out of Central Florida and then make their way closer toward the Gulf Coast and the I-75 corridor. Here's a live look now in Daytona Beach. We have some of those downpours bubbling up just south of us. Nice and quiet for us, although those clouds are dark out at sea. We're at 83 degrees. The breeze right now out of the east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Now here's a look at tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Ramjack.
Rain chances back to 40%, 90 degrees in Mount Dora, 88 for us in Kissimmee, Titusville. Good evening. We're back to 86 degrees tomorrow, still with that breeze off of the Atlantic. Latest on Gabrielle, it's a tropical storm. It's a really sad looking tropical storm. The center is somewhere right in there, quasi-center of that. It's kind of stretched out. The thunderstorms are way to its north and way to its south. It's likely going to stay weak and just meander out there for the next couple of days. This one poses no threat to Florida. We'll be watching for Bermuda as it makes its hook up and out. It should stay to the east of the island as well as it nears or exceeds hurricane strength as we get into the early stages of next work week. But again, the most important note, that one is of no threat to Florida or the United States. 40% shot for downpours as we move into Friday. Same deal through your weekend. Temperatures staying back to the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Open your camera app, scan that QR code on your screen right now and click the link. We want to see your weather pictures and videos, and they could end up on TV. You can also go to clickorlando.com/pins and upload your pictures and videos that way.
In a modest warehouse, a powerful mission is underway, one bag of pet food at a time.
I feel like every day, I got a purpose to go out and help somebody else.
How volunteers are helping people struggling financially keep their beloved pets by their side. That's next as we take a live look at Mount Dora. You're watching News 6. We'll be right back.
Coming up in the morning, making improvements on one of Central Florida's busiest roads.
Yeah, what FDOT has in mind for US 192 in Osceola County and what it could all mean for your morning drive.
Plus, Candace will have updates on your forecast and the tropics every 10 minutes.
We'll see you for News 6 mornings starting at 6.
The cost of owning a pet can easily top $1,000 a year, including food and vet bills.
Yeah, many people are struggling financially right now, and because of that, they end up surrendering their pets to shelters. CBS's Christian Benavidez shows us a South Florida organization working to stop that from happening.
Fort Lauderdale, Florida resident Kathleen Ortega is homebound because of a disability. To care for her cat Selena, she counts on volunteers like Sylvia Druitt, who regularly visits her home.
There you go.
On a hot September day in South Florida, that meant bringing cat litter and food up a flight of stairs. Druitt decided to volunteer for the Pet Project for Pets after the organization helped when Druitt experienced hard times.
For the people, for the pets, it's life-changing for me. I feel like every day, I got a purpose to go out and help somebody else.
The goal is to help pet owners so their furry loved ones can stay out of the shelter system. Sue Martino is the executive director.
The shelters are overcrowded. Animals are being euthanized because there's no room.
The nonprofit started in 2002, helping people living with HIV/AIDS care for their pets. It has expanded its services since then. Now the group hands out up to 15 tons of food each month.
The people barely have food for themselves, and they prefer to feed an animal before they feed themselves.
The organization runs on donations, grants, and volunteers who help run this thrift store. All the money raised here goes to help pet families in need. The store offers discounted prices on pet items as well as furniture and even TVs. Ortega is grateful. Without the help, she says she wouldn't know how to care for Selena.
You treat your animal like if it's a kid. It has needs, and it's expensive. It's like taking care of a kid.
The organization ensures families of all kinds stay intact. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I love that they are doing that. News 6 at 5 is next.
Matt Austin is in the newsroom with what's ahead.
Well, the family of a little girl is suing a Central Florida theme park after she was seriously hurt on a ride. Hear from them on the whole ordeal. That's coming up after the break. Plus, the new safety technology coming to some Central Florida school buses. What could happen if you break the rules? And hear from the family of the man who was killed at a popular shopping center last year. They want to know just how safe is this place? Your forecast is only minutes away. Don't forget, you can stream all of our newscasts and live cameras just like this look at Daytona Beach for free anytime on News 6 Plus. We'll be right back.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Now at 5, a little girl needing stitches in her face after a day at a Central Florida theme park. What her parents say should change so it doesn't happen again. Plus, is a rowdy reptile to blame for pets going missing? And
what am I hitting here?
You're hitting a 7-iron.
I'll show you the 21st century makeover one of Central Florida's oldest golf courses is getting. You're watching News 6 at 5.
And we are tracking a bunch of thunderstorms to start tonight, especially south and east of Orlando. A couple of stray ones north of the metro area. We'll take it closer in right on the lake and Volusia County line. This is going to be just south of Astor and Pearson tonight. Just kind of meandering around Alexander Springs, the heavy rain. You see the lightning there, so just be careful if you're heading out to take the dog out over the next 10, 20 minutes. We do have a lot of lightning. Speaking of a lot of lightning, closer to Dr. Phillips, the attractions, Four Corners, and especially back into Kissimmee, you see just meandering thunderstorms here. These have been hanging out for the last hour or so, so we're going to start to get concerned for a little bit of minor flooding as there's a lot of heavy rain, especially from Four Corners and then just on the south side of Kissimmee. Good news is around St. Cloud, we are watching things kind of peter out a little bit and watching a couple of stronger storms here, mainly in eastern Osceola County, north of us in Deer Park and Holopah. Those ones are slowly drifting to us, and then back to Satellite Beach, closer to Melbourne. We have these storms just kind of hanging out right now. We're dry in Melbourne, but most of the action just up the road, just north of Eau Gallie, and then in towards South Patrick Shores. More storms trying to push back onshore into the Atlantic. We'll talk about where these guys are headed and look at the week ahead, and also the tropics coming up at about 5:17.
Jonathan, thank you. Now to a News 6 exclusive. Is one of Central Florida's most popular malls safe? One family is questioning that at the time of their loved one's death.
Those questions come from a lawsuit recently filed by the family against the Paddock Mall and others. News 6's Emily McLeod joins us live from the newsroom with what she has been digging into today. Emily.
In the lawsuit, the family is claiming the Paddock Mall did not have sufficient security measures in place when 40-year-old David Barron was shot and killed just days before Christmas in 2023. Now, to bring everyone up to speed, police say the suspect, Albert Shell Jr., specifically targeted Barron. Investigators say Barron was found dead inside the mall after being chased by Shell. Now, Shell was on the run for weeks before he was finally caught by law enforcement. A lawsuit was recently filed by Barron's family on September 3rd, where the family spelled out several allegations over safety issues. In an exclusive interview, we spoke with the family's attorney about those allegations.
Since filing this lawsuit, been reached out to by people that used to work at the Paddock Mall and have told us and described to us their begs and pleas for additional security prior to this horrific tragedy that happened just the day before, 2 days before Christmas. And it's clear as day that the owners and operators of this mall back at this time ignored them. They knew of the risk, they knew there was problems, and they failed to act.
Coming up at 6, I have a list of exactly what the family says made the mall so unsafe that day. And the big question I'm working on, is the mall safe now? I'll send it back to you all in the studio.
All right, Emily, thank you. We do want to take a live look now in Edgewater, where a vigil to remember and honor Officer David Jewell is just now getting underway. It's happening outside the Edgewater Police Department. Edgewater community correspondent Molly Reed is there right now, and she will have a report coming up on this vigil ahead at 6. Now, we do know hundreds of people have turned out over the last 2 days, taking flowers and leaving notes and wreaths on Officer Jewell's car. A memorial motorcycle ride is also now planned for next weekend. Officials say they've heard from people as far as Tampa who are interested in participating to pay their respects.
People put their lives out on the line, and unfortunately, this guy wasn't even working. So that to me is even worse. You get what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, I figured let's do something back for them.
The city has started a GoFundMe for his family that has already raised nearly $45,000. We have put a link to donate to that GoFundMe at clickorlando.com.
Well, the fired former head of the CDC told a Senate committee her side of the story today about why she was let go after less than a month on the job. As CBS's Erica Brown explained, she expressed concerns about tomorrow's scheduled meeting of a vaccine advisory panel.
Former CDC Director Susan Manares told the lawmakers she's nervous about this week's advisory panel meeting that could change vaccine recommendations, and she expressed concern about politics influencing decisions at the agency.
It does put at risk our children. It puts at risk others who need these vaccines, and it takes us into a very dangerous place in public health.
The vaccine panel was overhauled by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Manares says she was fired from the CDC because she refused to approve vaccine guidance without scientific evidence and would not dismiss career scientists without cause.
I will stand behind scientific integrity with every decision I ever make.
At a contentious Senate hearing earlier this month, Kennedy denied Manares' account.
I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no.
Some Republican lawmakers who are also physicians echoed Kennedy's skepticism about the CDC.
I think the CDC is the cause of vaccine hesitancy, that you are the problem.
Does the COVID vaccine reduce the rate of death for children under 18?
It can.
Once again, it can. That's a ridiculous answer. No, it doesn't.
Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, who's also a doctor, noted Manares' firing came less than a month after she was confirmed by the Senate, with Secretary Kennedy praising her, quote, unimpeachable scientific credentials.
Did we fail? Was there something we should have done differently?
In a statement, an HHS spokesperson said Manares' remarks to the Senate committee have factual inaccuracies and leave out important details. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, the impact of ongoing back and forth discussions surrounding vaccines is being felt in the doctor's office, especially in Florida. Doctors across the state say they're seeing more people confused about vaccines and are asking more questions about the shots than ever before. Some doctors believe parents are choosing not to vaccinate because of mistrust and misinformation.
They bring their views into the room and they have their minds made up before they come in.
You think that parents are not listening to medical advice?
A lot of times, yes. Yeah.
And what goes through your mind as a medical professional?
It's difficult because me, myself, all of my colleagues, all we want to do is provide the best care we can for your child.
A survey by the Kaiser Family Foundation and the Washington Post found 1 in 6 parents are rejecting vaccine recommendations, but about 80% of parents say they should be mandated in schools.
We are working to get an update on the condition of a child who was seriously hurt on a local lake. Florida Fish and Wildlife and Lake County Sheriff's deputies were called to Lake Harris after an 8-year-old fell off a pontoon boat. This happened yesterday evening, and the little boy was taken by life flight to the hospital.
State lawmakers already preparing for the next legislative session, and that includes taking on some more bills that failed last year. Lawmakers have again filed the Jason Rayner Act. If passed, it would increase the punishment for those convicted of manslaughter against a police officer. Right now, the charge carries a maximum sentence of 30 years, but the act would change that to life without parole. The bill passed the state Senate last year, but the House amended it. Senators asked the amendment to be pulled, but the House didn't budge. The bill died. Officer Jason Rayner was a Daytona Beach police officer who was shot and killed in 2021 by a man named Otho Wallace. Officer Rayner approached Wallace to question him about his car, which looked similar to one that was reported stolen. The encounter turned violent. Wallace shot Rayner in the head. He claimed self-defense. Wallace faced first-degree murder charges. A jury convicted him of manslaughter, and that's when he got 30 years in prison.
Well, we have seen alligators all over Florida, at front doors, crossing roads, of course, in swimming pools. So when we tell you about one in Howell Creek and Winter Springs, it's probably not surprising.
Not surprising at all, but one of our News 6 viewers says this one right here is aggressive and it's approaching people and pets. They spoke to our Seminole County community correspondent, Catherine Silver, to spread the word.
As soon as I step in the water, my dog's in front of me, and this gator, probably 9 foot, just darts out.
Noel Keller acted as soon as he saw the alligator in the afternoon at the Howell Creek Bridge trestle. He says the big gator was aggressive and wasn't afraid of getting too close.
It could have done some damage for sure.
How close did it get to you?
Too close. Born and raised Florida, so I'm not really scared of them, but it was a little too close for comfort.
This part of Howell Creek passes right under the trail. It's not just a popular place to walk or bike, it's also a popular place to swim. There's rope swings tied to the trees at this bend where kids often jump into the water.
Good thing I let go close to the sand, and then I just felt a tug on me.
2 years ago, a 13-year-old told News 6 a gator bit his hip in the same spot. He was there with his little brother.
In the moment, I was just like, it's like life or death.
And it's not just the people, it's the pets. We noticed this flyer, an 84-pound husky mix that went missing Sunday, an excellent swimmer.
So you just probably be extra cautious.
Howell Creek feeds right into Lake Jessup nearby, home to over 13,000 alligators, according to wildlife officials.
But it's just part of living in Central Florida.
I try to stay away from them. I don't want to taunt them. I just want to, if I see one, get away quick.
FWC has a nuisance alligator hotline they encourage anyone to call if an alligator is over 4 feet and it poses a threat to people, pets, or property.
I didn't report it because I wanted to get it removed or anything like that. I reported it because you're in their territory. So, I mean, if you're a kid, you always got to be responsible, have fun, but just always know that there could be something in that water.
In Winter Springs, Catherine Silver, News 6.
Well, there are cameras everywhere nowadays on doorbells, red lights, and in one local community, they will be on buses. Next at 5, the new program using technology to keep kids safe. You're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Today's Port Canaveral Cam is sponsored by Launch Credit Union.
AI-powered cameras on Brevard County school buses will soon begin capturing drivers who are not stopping.
Starting today, people caught illegally passing a school bus will be sent a $225 ticket. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez shows us how it would work.
The goal is to change driver behavior and reduce illegal passings to ensure that children get to and from school safely.
I think it's a good thing. I've seen lots of cars kind of go over the school buses, like go around them just because they're impatient, and you don't know who's crossing.
Parents know not every driver respects school buses when they're stopped, and now those drivers will get a hefty citation in the mail.
I think it's a wonderful idea. I'm fully supporting it because I see a lot of people ignoring it, and we have very, very busy road here. So I think it's a great idea.
The bus safety program is a collaboration between the sheriff's office and the school district designed to alter driver behavior. The program has equipped school buses with advanced safety technology, including AI-powered stop arm cameras that detect when a car illegally passes a bus. Florida law requires drivers to stop when a school bus displays its stop signal, but parents continue to see people drive recklessly near school buses.
I witnessed a little girl get hit at the last place we were at in Texas. By just driver being impatient around a suburb. Speed limit was 25 miles an hour. Must have been going maybe 35, 40. So
during the camera's pilot program, 10 buses recorded nearly 800 illegal passings. That's about 2 passes per bus per day.
Even if you're late, you're just late, and that's fine. It's not worth accidentally hitting somebody.
The footage is sent to law enforcement for independent review before the driver is sent a $225 ticket. Data from Bus Patrol, the company that created the AI technology, shows that over 90% of first-time violators do not illegally pass a school bus again. Reporting in Brevard County, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
Stephanie, thank you. Bus Patrol, the company that Brevard County is using, was actually at the center of a News 6 investigation. About 6 months ago, a Volusia County man got one of those $225 tickets when someone illegally passed a school bus in Miami. The only problem, it was not him. After we got involved, the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office waived the ticket, and a class action lawsuit was even filed claiming the cameras failed to provide a process for people cited to attend a hearing and contest their notices. So if you run into any issues with the camera system, let us know about them. Head to clickorlando.com or the News 6 app. Click on the Contact Us tab at the top of the page.
Time now to get a check of your weather. Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas is tracking a line of storms heading through the area.
Kind of strung out pretty much south of Kissimmee, St. Cloud. We've been dealing with some of the thunder. If you've been listening to that in parts of Osceola County tonight. A couple of stray downpours north of Orlando as well. We've been watching this one for you around Pearson and Astor, just south of town. Trying to drift up to the north a little bit. You may see the dark clouds and hear the thunder. Umatilla, we're trying to join the party here just on the west side, closer on the west side of Mount Dora as well. We're watching these downpours, and you can track these storms if you're heading out tonight by downloading that free News 6 weather app. The lightning detection, one of the best tools on there. You'll get a push alert, and then you can track the storms as they pop up. Claremont, good evening. We're watching this right around Mineola and Mascot, Groveland. We have these downpours just south of town, at least on the south side of town tonight. Lone lightning strikes, so just be mindful of that. That these are producing some lightning. Same for us back in Webster. No lightning just yet. I will suspect that that's going to change soon. You see that pulse of the darker red and purple there. That's indication that the storm is getting a little bit stronger, so we might have some lightning begin to pop up in that. So I'll be keeping my eye on that cell for you if you're hanging around Bushnell and Webster tonight. And again, most of the really active stuff is if you're driving, hopping in the car, heading down I-4 to Haines City or to Lakeland, or maybe going over to Tampa this evening. Just be mindful that pretty much almost the entire stretch of I-4 is loaded with some super heavy rain and lightning. So that's going to be kind of white knuckle driving almost all the way down. So just be careful if you're heading in that direction. Tonight, we're going to watch these storms fade, and the focus, as you just saw, for the most part, there will be a few stray downpours outside of the Florida Turnpike, but really from the Turnpike into the west, that's where the heaviest and most widespread stuff is going to be. Overnight tonight, we'll shift the attention back to the Space Coast for a few stray downpours to sneak on shore. And then you see a few little thunderstorms pop up again tomorrow. That's 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Those should quickly get back to the I-75 corridor and eventually the Gulf Coast of the state. So I think it's going to be a quick end to the storms tomorrow. Gray look here in Daytona Beach. Air temperatures back in the lower 80s under a mostly cloudy sky. The breeze still off the Atlantic at about 10 miles an hour as we move into tomorrow. Here's a look at your forecast.
Your forecast is sponsored by Payne Law.
Teetering around 90 degrees tomorrow, 40% shot for downpours. We're at 87 degrees in Cocoa Beach, 88 in Holopah. Groveland, we're checking in at 90 degrees tomorrow afternoon. In case you missed it, Tropical Storm Gabrielle officially formed today. Not looking too healthy. We like when that happens, but it's kind of strung out in this whole thing here. The center is where it marks the spot. You see it go away for a second because that's when it wasn't named, and then it became the tropical storm. So that's why the icon pops up. 50-mile-per-hour tropical storm as of the 5 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center, but you see it continuing to work its way slowly and on the weaker side towards Bermuda as a hurricane. Again, this one is no threat to Florida and likely will bend very, very far east from the United States as a whole, even likely missing Bermuda to the east as well. Some dry air out there at the moment. That's what's keeping Gabrielle very weak and should keep its intensity at bay over the next couple of days. But again, most important thing, this is not a Florida storm. 40% shot Thursday, Friday, Saturday, also to end your weekend. Air temperatures hanging out in the upper 80s, right around 90 degrees, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Your Wednesday evening traffic alert. You can see lane closures. No big shutdown scheduled, but with no heavy rain coming through the way, they're going to be making you guys zigzag up throughout the highway. So watch out along I-4 Turnpike down to 528. And then, of course, some lane closures out by Champions Gate. No closures or major shutdowns, at least scheduled this week. It's not saying it's never going to happen again, because it will. And then along the Turnpike down in St. Cloud, Osceola County, you have left and right lane closures scheduled right around Kissimmee Park Road. I'm Trooper Steve with your News 6 traffic alert. Drive safely, and I'll catch you in the morning.
As we take a live look at downtown Orlando from our Light Orlando Delivering Hope cam, you're watching News 6 at 5. We'll be right back.
Get off the iPad. That was the message from air traffic control to a Spirit Airlines pilot who had to be told to get his plane out of the way of Air Force One.
The president arrived in England earlier today. CBS's Chris Van Cleve looks into what happened.
With increasing urgency, air traffic controllers repeatedly ordered Spirit Airlines pilots to pay attention and change course after Spirit Flight 1300 was flying towards Air Force One over Long Island Tuesday. At one point, controllers even telling the pilots, get off the iPad. Here's how it played out over ATC audio.
Spirit 1300, turn 20 degrees right now. Spirit Wings 1300, turn 20 degrees right immediately. Spirit 1300, traffic's off your left wing by 8 miles, 747. I'm sure you can see who it is. Just keep an eye out for him. He's white and blue.
That plane, of course, was Air Force One, which was carrying President Trump to London. At one point, the planes were flying parallel, about 8 miles apart. The FAA tells us they do not consider that a break in the required separation, but it was clearly closer than air traffic controllers wanted those two planes to be. Spirit tells CBS News the pilots followed instructions and landed uneventfully, adding safety is always our top priority. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, New York.
Well, after the Fed lowered interest rates for the first time this year, we're taking a look at how it may be impacting your wallet.
And later, I'll show you how one of Central Florida's oldest golf courses is taking the fast track to the 21st century.
Pretty nice swing there.
Thank you very much. As we take a live look at Daytona Beach, you're watching News 6. Keep it here. We'll be right back. Glad you're with us. I'm Lisa Bell.
I'm Matt Austin. You're watching News 6 at 5. We're following several top stories for you right now. A lot going on. A family is questioning the safety of a Central Florida mall at the time of their loved one's death. In the lawsuit, the families claiming the Paddock Mall did not have sufficient security measures in place when 40-year-old David Barron was shot and killed. It happened just days before Christmas in 23. Investigators say Barron was found dead inside the mall after being chased by Albert Schell Jr. The Edgewater community is mourning Officer David Jewell. He was shot and killed Monday afternoon. Officer Jewell was off duty when deputies say he was shot multiple times by a Circle K clerk in Ormond by the Sea. Right now, a vigil is being held where several city and state leaders are joining the community.
One of our News 6 viewers says this gator at Howell Creek in Winter Springs is aggressive and is approaching people and pets. The area is popular to walk, bike, and to even go for a swim. FWC has a nuisance gator hotline. They encourage anyone to call if a gator is over 4 feet long and is posing a threat to people, pets, or property. We are learning more about a 83-year-old woman who died after driving into the path of Brightline's high-speed train last week in Brevard County. In an update to his continuing coverage, Rockledge community correspondent James Sparvero just learned she was on her way to the gym to work out when she drove through the crossing arm at the tracks.
Since Monday, when I received this terrifying video of a driver going through a railroad crossing arm into the path of a Brightline train and dying when her car exploded, many continue to ask why Eleonora Mitchell did that. Her family just gave me these pictures of the 83-year-old, and they tell me she was still in great shape. In fact, they told me last Friday Eleonora was on her way to Planet Fitness, just on the other side of US 1 from Meister Boulevard, where she worked out all the time.
She was much active than I am. She really was.
In her Rockledge neighborhood, I also met Eleonora's close friend, Dorothy Shaw. Like Eleonora's family, Dorothy also dismisses any theory of suicide. I've asked police for its investigative report of the crash, which might answer these questions, but records told me it's not available. Dorothy and Eleonora's family think something medically related may have happened to her.
She was in good shape to me.
Good enough shape to be driving?
Yes, yes.
Last year, after police said 2 drivers caused deadly wrecks with Brightline trains in Brevard, the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization talked to me about putting crossing arms on both sides of traffic lanes at more intersections in the county. This is the complete list of where those improvements are expected to be made in the next couple of years. When I asked the TPO for a new interview following this tragedy, I was told they have nothing more to say about safety measures.
The things was down, and it was doing what it's supposed to do. God bless her.
Along with the surveillance from the doctor's office here at the intersection, the police told me they're also waiting to receive Brightline's video from on board the train. We'll continue updating this story on clickorlando.com. In Brevard County, I'm your Rockledge community correspondent, James Sparvero, News 6.
The Federal Reserve cut its key interest rate by 1/4 percentage point at the close of its meeting today. Now, this is the first rate cut since last December.
Chair Powell projects more rate cuts at the 2 remaining Fed meetings this year, likely 1/4 point each, depending on economic data. News 6's Donovan Myrie joins us now to explain the impact of today's decision.
Well, Matt and Lisa, yeah, the big question is, what does this mean for the regular person, okay? Federal Reserve cuts. Basically, who are your winners? Borrowers, okay? We're looking at a drop in home and car loans. Mortgage rates were already basically on the decline in anticipation of this cut, so that's a good thing. And if you have a credit card with a variable rate that is tied to the Fed rate, you're going to see a drop. Usually when you say winners, you have losers, but in this case, I call them the not as much a winner, okay? And those are savers. These are people who will have now reduced interest rates for their savings accounts, their high-yield savings accounts. So say you had one that had an interest rate of 5%, might go down to like 4.5, 4.25 or so. And basically, you're going to see lower yields on CDs and money markets. Let's take a listen to some of the things that Powell had to say today.
The Fed has been assigned 2 goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to supporting maximum employment, bringing inflation sustainably to our 2% goal, and keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country.
So I want you to take a look at this quote from Jerome Powell. It is such an unusual situation. Ordinarily, when the labor market is weak, inflation is low. And when the labor market is really strong, that's when you got to be careful about inflation. So we have a situation where we have a two-sided risk, and that means there's no free pass. There's a no risk-free pass.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting situation that the Fed faces itself with, that the Fed's faced with. I was looking at how the board was looking forward, basically saying like, oh, I want this, I want that. They were all over the place.
Yeah.
One person wanted 5 cuts this year. One person wanted no cuts at all. Most people wanted 2 or 3 cuts for the rest of the year. It's not that they're confused. There's just so many different opinions because we don't normally run into this type of situation.
And a lot of people saying they shouldn't cut at all, too. You kind of get all sides of the spectrum these days.
Yeah, because again, usually it's tamped down inflation, but then the job market is throwing a doozy in there.
Tariffs.
You took the word out of my mouth, because Jerome Powell said they believe tariffs are going to be a one-time hit. Basically, you're going to have a price adjustment for those tariffs, and that's what's going to stay. But he literally said in the same sentence, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Not sure.
Yeah, not sure.
Interesting. Donovan Myrie, thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Well, yet another city is shelling out thousands of dollars for road safety equipment. News 6 anchor Ginger Gaston joins us live in the newsroom to explain how it'll work.
Matt and Lisa, like so many other communities across Central Florida, Oviedo is rolling out a red light detection program. City Council members approved the lease of 8 license plate readers. The deal with Flock Group Incorporated is going to cost around $129,000 over the next 5 years, with an option for a 2-year extension. Now, the first 3 years of the deal will be paid for by the city. The 4th and 5th years will be funded by the federal government. Flock is one of, if not the largest license plate reader company in the U.S., and it's in use in other communities across Central Florida as well. But in June, a law firm sent a letter to Seminole County demanding officials end a contract with the company, claiming they did not have a private agency license from the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, which it would need to operate in the state. The company said they looked at the law, and while they do not believe their services would need the license, they would be getting one in good faith. The company more recently made headlines last month when it announced it's pausing operations with the Department of Homeland Security's law enforcement arm, along with Border Patrol. It's all over concerns about the purpose of their investigations. The company's CEO said the partnership began programs to help fight human trafficking and drug distribution, but the audit of the company in Illinois found Border Patrol accessed data, although the reason was not clear why they did that. Lisa, Matt.
Ginger, thank you. A historic building in Orlando's Paramore neighborhood has drawn the attention of the city's code enforcement and the police department, following the discovery last week that as many as 19 people were living on the 2nd floor, even though it was meant for commercial use only.
The building was condemned, and as Orlando community correspondent Mike Valenti found, the property owner had tried to get those people to leave months ago.
Although it's now empty, the role that the Hankins building has played in Paramore's long history cannot be overstated. Built in 1947, it was one of the first buildings for black professionals in the city of Orlando. And that's why people who live in the neighborhood want to make sure it remains a fixture, despite its latest chapter.
We are not tearing the building down. It is a historic building.
District 5 Commissioner Shan Rose Wednesday trying to put to rest any concerns about the Hankins building's future. She spoke to us a week after the city condemned the building for unsuitable living conditions. The Christian Service Center told us 8 people were displaced, but Rose says it appeared that as many as 19 people might have been sleeping there.
We had sewer issues, we had gas issues, people, stuff all over the place. It's undesirable, and no one should have to live like that.
Rose says the tenant, Vestera LLC, was running some kind of rooming house. We found Vestera's lease with its landlord, the owner, Paramore Avenue Land Trust, on the County Clerk of Court's website. It was in early July when the trust appealed to the court to have Vestera evicted. But I discovered when the 2 parties signed the lease in April, the agreement stipulated that the building would be used as a care facility, specializing in group housing and care treatment. But no one was supposed to be living there. When I went through the docket, we also found this. a notice the landlord wrote to Vestera in May, listing examples of noncompliance, such as, quote, unsupervised individuals with health concerns and unsupervised disabled or mental health individuals. Despite all this, Vestera was not evicted until last week, when Commissioner Rose says a 911 call about a domestic dispute led to the discovery by police and code enforcement of the unsafe living conditions.
There's a fine line of just living somewhere versus living somewhere safe, and that's important for us at the City of Orlando.
Vestera has no published phone numbers that we could find, but we will keep trying to get an answer from the tenant. I'm your Orlando community correspondent, Mike Valenti, News 6.
Mike, thank you. There are resources in Central Florida to help homeless people,
including the Samaritan Resource Center in Orange County. Trooper Steve went on patrol with the center's executive director earlier today to learn more about the mission.
SRC is, just to give you the
yeah, we got time.
Tagline is SRC is the only drop-in center, day service center for the homeless in East Orlando. So between downtown and Bethlo, there's one in Bethlo, and there are other ones in downtown.
Right.
In between there, we're the only resource for those who are experiencing homelessness.
Now, some people might be like, well, that's just East Orange County. That's not a big deal. But let's talk numbers for a second.
Yes.
You're seeing
upwards of 100 people a day just for drop-in services. Sometimes more than that.
When you say drop-in services, what's that definition?
Well, that's what you need to live every day, right? When you get up, you want to take a shower, right? Brush your teeth, go get a cup of coffee, maybe grab some breakfast, put your clothes on.
The things that most of us take for granted.
All of those things, yeah, that we take for granted. We don't even think about it.
Hey, some breaking news coming in. This is just happening now. In moments, Seminole County Sheriff Dennis Lima will give us some information on what we're told is an active investigation. You can take a look at the scene here and see why we're paying very close attention. This is at the intersection of Hatfield Court and East Wekiva Trail. There is a huge police presence in this area. We haven't been told what exactly this is, but we are expecting to hear very soon. We're going to take the sheriff's press conference live on the air as soon as it begins, so stick with News 6 for the latest. We'll let you know what's going on in this area.
Florida is known for its sunshine, making it a popular destination for golfers year-round. So I'm taking a look at how one of the oldest courses in Central Florida is getting a 21st century makeover. Jonathan.
And some of that humidity coming back to make it not as comfortable if you're heading out golfing today. We do also have some storms mainly south and west of Orlando. We're tracking these on the other side of this short break.
When it comes to Florida's claim of being the golf capital of the world, it's a hard point to argue. The Sunshine State is home to more than 1,200 golf courses, 31% more than California, which has the second most, and more than any other country on earth, aside from Japan, the UK, and Canada. It's not too hard to see either when you look at a map of Central Florida. All these red dots here are golf courses around Orlando.
And one of the oldest in our area is now going high tech. The city of Orlando's 101-year-old Dubsdread golf course is getting a nearly $4 million makeover. From Doppler radar tracking shots on the driving range to new air-conditioned simulated classrooms, I took a tour at everything that's changing.
This is all going to be turf.
Dubsdread General Manager Rodney Reefsnyder is overseeing construction of a brand new learning center coming to the historic golf course's driving range.
We'll be able to give the classes, they can hit full shots out into the range, get all that instruction, and then just turn around and now work on short game shots into the practice green.
And when the weather gets rough, students will soon be able to step inside a new air-conditioned, high-tech tee box. Oh, what am I hitting here?
You're hitting a 7-iron.
So I took a swing at it.
How bad was I?
This tells you your ball speed. This tells you your club path.
Oh, I would have gotten 132 yards?
Yeah, you would have went 130.
That's good.
Director of Instruction Steve Brewer says the technology from TrackMan analyzes your swing, breaking it down into 44 separate categories.
This is center line is the middle of the fairway, so you're not too far off of the middle of the fairway. That's the height of the shot.
The technology also available in 36 redesigned bays in the now covered driving range. Out here, each golfer's shot will be tracked by Doppler radar.
You've got just straight practice scenarios. You've got different games you can play. You can actually play different golf courses. And I'm very excited to say that TrackMan's actually going to map Dubsdread Golf Course. So any other TrackMan facility has the capability of downloading that and playing that course as well.
But that's not all. Next to the chipping green, chips and beverages will now be served at the range's new 19th hole.
Why is having something like this so important for the city?
This brings the community together. Couple that with what's happening with the tap room, and now you really have the feeling of a country club, but you don't have to pay those fees. You just come here and enjoy it.
Orlando City Commissioner Robert Stewart says it's important to preserve the course's storied history while making it on par with other attractions.
We want families to come out on an evening and sit around and hit golf balls the same way you would at Topgolf and other those places. We're not going to be able to do it right here on our own property.
Now, construction on all this started back in April. They're hoping for a grand opening this October.
It looks like fun, and you have a shockingly nice swing.
Well, we need to record this in history, folks. But you can also reserve those bays and take the whole family out there, make a whole
and
evening
you want
out
to
of
eat
it.
at the tap room. It's one of the best restaurants around, that's for sure. All right, Jonathan Kagas, our meteorologist, he's got some stuff going on that map.
Yeah, so last night how we had a theme kind of south of Orlando. We're keeping that for the most part, but now we're really going to add pretty much the turnpike. So if you're hanging around the Florida Turnpike and points to the south and west, there will be a few storms that kind of meander out of that kind of zone there. But nonetheless, that's where I'm anticipating these storms to kind of push through over the next couple of hours. This is one of those examples, although we're getting it close to the turnpike now. We were watching this as it was north of us in Holopah and Deer Park, now kind of splitting the uprights here between Deer Park and Holopah with the heaviest rain. Nice downpour, though, on the west side of town in Deer Park. To get across the Florida Turnpike, these are kind of drifting south towards Kenansville. It's a slow go of things. We are losing some lightning with this, so it's a sign to us again that we are watching these kind of weaken a little bit. Certainly have seen that happen in Kissimmee, like we were talking about 15, 20 minutes ago. The lightning leaving us alone a little bit more in Four Corners. All the heavy stuff, at least the heaviest stuff, is hanging out in Polk County. So we talked about this before. If you're going to hop in the car and drive towards Tampa, just be on the lookout, especially on the early side of your trip, you're going to meet some rain. At least optimistic now, these are going to continue to push towards Bartow and Fort Meade to leave the highway alone. So better driving for you once you give it another 30, 40 minutes or so. 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. I think Future Radar doing a pretty nice job. And you see that flare up again continuing around the Florida Turnpike and points towards the west. Tomorrow morning, watching for a few stray downpours along the Space Coast. Then we're going to fire up a couple of thunderstorms in the afternoon. I think we are going to see a quick push, though, towards the Gulf Coast of Florida once we get into tomorrow evening. I think a lot of us going to be dry in the afternoon through the early evening. Now here's a look at tomorrow.
Your forecast is sponsored by Publix.
Temperatures back to the upper 80s. Rain chances holding tight at 40%. Latest on Tropical Storm Gabrielle. As of 5 o'clock, it's a 50-mile-per-hour storm. This is no threat to the state of Florida. It's a weak thing right now. It should stay weak over the next couple of days. Conditions aren't that favorable. They're a little more favorable the further north it gets. You see kind of brushing Bermuda as a Category 1 storm. Again, this one's going to stay far away. There are 2 other waves out there, the hurricanes that are as highlighted. This little bubble here is actually 2 and 1. The first wave is hanging here by the Cabo Verde Islands. The second one is just getting ready to emerge. Both of those have a low chance for development right now. There's still a little bit of wind shear out there in the Atlantic, so conditions aren't prime. We'll take that for sure. Again, there are no immediate threats to Florida when it comes to the Atlantic. 40% shot for storms on Thursday. Same deal Friday, Saturday into the weekend. High temperatures, guys, holding tight. Back to the upper 80s.
All right, thank you very much, Jonathan. We are continuing to await the Seminole County Sheriff to give an update on the heavy police presence in Longwood right now. As soon as that comes up, we're going to bring it to you live right here. We'll be right back.
That just looks terrible.
We're still following this breaking news. This is in Seminole County, and we know Sheriff Dennis Lima is expected to give an update on a very active situation. You can see there it is at Wekiva and Hatfield. There is the intersection. That's Hatfield Court and East Wekiva Trail. So this is in the Longwood area, if you're paying close attention. We're going to take this presser live on the air. Again, we're waiting for it to begin any second. As soon as it does, as soon as the sheriff walks up to the podium there, you can stick with News 6 for the very latest. We'll have it here on the air. We're going to also have it on clickorlando.com, but we just don't have very specific information on what's going on here. We just know that it is a very large police presence in this particular area.
Yeah, as our camera was zoomed out, you could see all of the activity that was taking place there. This is near a golf course in Seminole County. We don't have, as you mentioned, a whole lot of other details. It's near the Wekiva Golf Club, also kind of north of Forest City, west of Wekiva Springs, just to give you an idea of where exactly we're talking about. It looks to be like a pretty residential area.
And here he is. Here's the Sheriff Dennis Lima.
Thank you for your patience. What I'd like to do is kind of start from the beginning. I'll go through the entire circumstances that led us to this point, and at the end I'll open for any questions. The investigation here at 102 Hatfield Court, Longwood, started a little more than a week ago. Actually, last Tuesday we got a tip. If people engage in child pornography, there's unique characteristics that are identifiable to law enforcement agencies and other agencies. We received a tip that somebody was accessing mobile devices at 102 Hathaway that contain child pornography. When these investigations occur, we typically bring whatever evidence we have, and we obtained a search warrant, which was executed last Tuesday at this location. We arrived at that search warrant. We seized 4 cell phones and 2 computers from the location. Gary Gutenberger was the only person there. He was a male, 68 years old, I believe, and again, had no contact with him for the past week or so. A day or so after obtaining the evidence, we were able to forensically examine both the cell phones and the computers. That's a process that's still ongoing now. But just with a short examination, we discovered over 100 sexually explicit videos involving children from 3 to 9 years old, including sexual activity, sexual battery, bondage, the most horrific examples of child pornography that somebody can have. In addition to that, there were more than 200 still photographs containing the same type of material on the phones. And again, this is a process that we are still forensically examining those 4 cell phones and those 2 computers, but that was enough evidence for us to move forward and obtain an arrest warrant for Gary Gutenberger at this location. Since we knew that he lived here, we were conducting surveillance in the area. The easiest way for us to apprehend somebody is to hopefully do it, which presents the least amount of distraction and harm to anyone else. So as we were conducting surveillance, Gary Gutenberger came out of his house. He was on a walker. He walked down to the middle of the driveway. Our detectives, investigators that were here conducting surveillance looked at that as a great opportunity to try to apprehend him without incident, and he immediately reached to his waistband, pulling a .38 revolver out of his waistband and start raising it up. The deputy that was on scene, the detective that was on scene, provided clear communication. Don't do that, drop your firearm. His response to the deputy that was here was, "I have to." Shortly after that, our deputy, we fired at least 2 shots. We believe it was 2 shots, taking down the suspect, and he is deceased in the driveway right now. I've had the opportunity to watch a video that we had put up conducting surveillance within the area. Look, we're here, we're watching. We have video that is documenting these things, and you talk about a clear shot. There's nothing clearer than this. Gary Gutenberger was presenting a real and imminent threat to the deputies that were here on scene. They used great patience and discretion. They tried to talk him out of actually doing this. And of course, I'm convinced that his mind was made up should he be confronted with this thing that occurred last week. If there's one person that absolutely knew what was on those devices that were seized, it was him. In addition to the evidence that we're still collecting, we know at least on one occasion where he communicated with another woman about engaging in sexual activity with her child. And at this point, we don't believe that has ever occurred, but those were ongoing communications he has he clearly was taking this to the next level, and he posed an imminent and credible threat, not only to our deputies, but to this community. As we typically do, we have asked our partners with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to come out here and conduct an independent investigation into all of the circumstances that had occurred on this particular incident, as asking our 18th Judicial Circuit State Attorney to come out and provide an independent eye into everything that they see out here on the scene. Our investigators and detectives are here. They're canvassing the area. They're talking to neighbors. They're trying to find out as much information as they possibly can. That's an ongoing process. That's a process that's not wrapped up in one day, because there's a lot of questions that people have of how can this happen in a incredibly safe community, living next to somebody who's engaging in this type of behavior. We don't know that he's been involved in any criminal activity in the past. We knew at one time he was a firefighter. He had been retired for the fire department for more than 12 years. There is absolutely no correlation between the fire department and what he was doing here. Again, long since retired from the fire department, but he had a career one time as a firefighter. We are providing our victim advocates that are here, not only to neighbors or people who may be in the area that want to talk to somebody for grief counseling. As we typically do, the deputies that we have that are involved in these cases, we want to make sure that we can lift them up and support them and their families, and that's a process that's going on right now. So if you look at a cut and dry case, to recap, we got information at 102 Hadaway Court in Longwood that the person at that location was using unique characteristics, their email, other characteristics to access child porn. That porn was kids between the age of 3 and 9, and it included bondage, sexual batteries, and the most horrific examples of abuse and neglect that any human being could ever imagine. We seized on a search warrant last Tuesday 4 cell phones and 2 computers. That was examined as we examined it in our lab, because he would not give us any of the passcodes. He would not work with us during the investigation. Heck, he didn't even want to come to the door, which is part of the reason why we were conducting surveillance here. In just one day, we were able to recover more than 100 videos, some of them as long as 22 minutes long, with kids tied up with rope and everything else. In addition to that, hundreds of still videos and him communicating with at least one other adult about taking his perversion one step further and arranging to meet up with a child. To this point, we don't know of any children that have been victimized by him. There was no physical evidence that we have recovered so far to show that he actually acted out on this. And he walks out as we're conducting surveillance with his walker. When he walks outside, he's got a pair of shorts on, shirt. He's got a .38 revolver fully loaded in his waistband. He reaches for the revolver, pulls it out. The deputy says, "Don't do it, don't do it." He says, "I have to," which leads into the ideology of suicide by cop and all of these things that I'm sure somebody would want to ask me about anyway. Our deputies that are involved in this are doing fine physically, and from my conversations with them, they seem to be doing well considering the circumstances emotionally. And FDLE is conducting the independent investigation as we wrap this case up. We'll be here for a while, knocking on doors and ensuring the community that this particular incident was isolated to 102 Hadaway Court. There's no threat that we're aware of kids that live in this neighborhood. There's been no prior reports of criminal activity involving him or anyone else, so that's what we know at this time. With that, I'll open for any questions.
No kids in this neighborhood, Sheriff, but what about anywhere in Central Florida? All right, as you heard from the Seminole County Sheriff, this was a child porn investigation. When deputies tried to approach the suspect, he pulled out a gun. He's been identified as Gary Guckenberger, believed to be 68 years old. The sheriff says deputies told him to put down the gun, but he didn't, so deputies fired.
All right, we'll be right back for News 6 at 6.
Streaming on clickorlando.com and broadcasting live, you're watching News 6 at 6 p.m.
So we've been following this breaking news tonight right here on News 6. Law enforcement have swarmed a neighborhood in Longwood, and they ended up shooting a child pornography suspect. So this happened at Hatfield Court and East Wekiva Trail. That's where the neighborhood is located, in a very residential area. The sheriff says the suspect had a gun in his waistband and started to pull it out. Deputies ended up opening fire on him, and he died right there in the driveway. Any updates we get, we'll bring them to you right here.
The sheriff saying that they were going to be on that scene for quite some time this evening. Turning now to our forecast, where the radar was lighting up with lots of rain, including a downpour outside of our station.
Yeah, you certainly saw that one for sure. The good news is not a ton of lightning with the ones outside of our station anyway, but we do have some lightning. I was talking about this one for you guys in parts of Sumter County. Now, let me put the loop back on there so you can see exactly where these storms are working their way toward and from. All of the major lightning that we've been tracking through the evening that's been around Kissimmee St. Cloud is now pushing out of Deer Park and Holopaw back toward Kenansville tonight. Yeehaw Junction, that's going to be an early heads up for you. Notice where we have the lightning now. We were hanging around Coleman and Bushnell about 20 minutes ago, and we were talking about there was no lightning with the cell just yet, but there likely would be, and there we go now flaring up around Webster. Certainly a lot of lightning and a lot of thunder pushing towards Linden tonight with a very, very heavy rain. So again, just keep that in mind that we do have a few cells that are hanging off to the west of the Florida Turnpike, and I really think that's exactly where we're going to keep most of the activity for the remainder of the evening. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and we'll break down future radar coming up at about 6:17.
Jonathan, thank you. Now to a News 6 exclusive. It has been nearly 2 years since a family lost their loved one at the Paddock Mall just days before Christmas.
But now the victim's family has filed a lawsuit claiming the mall did not have proper security or safety measures in place at the time of that shooting.
Now, for those who don't remember what happened here, this all started on December 23rd, 2023, 2 days before Christmas, when 40-year-old David Barron was shot and killed at the Paddock Mall. Investigators say Barron was targeted by the suspect, Albert Shell Jr.
Shell was on the run for weeks before he was finally arrested by law enforcement on January of 2024. Now, almost 2 years later, Barron's family has filed a lawsuit against the mall, the former owners, and Allied Security. News 6's Emily McLeod got the lawsuit first and has been trying to answer a big question all day. Is the mall safe now?
Yeah, I have been reviewing the lawsuit, and simply put, the family believes the mall wasn't doing enough to keep people safe at the time of the shooting. They say a lack of security guards and surveillance cameras, among several other issues, are what led to the deadly shooting that killed 40-year-old David Barron.
In this case, the failures are particularly egregious here.
In 2023, David Barron was shot and killed at the Paddock Mall 2 days before Christmas. Police believe this man, Albert Shell Jr., pulled the trigger. Nearly 2 years later, the family has filed a lawsuit, and they say the Paddock Mall was not safe at the time of the shooting.
I know back then, at this point in time, especially for the risk that not only existed at that mall, but when you couple it with the risk that exists around the holidays, one of the busiest shopping days of the year, December 23rd. I mean, the security was entirely inadequate at Paddock.
The lawsuit accuses Paddock Mall, the mall's former owners, Washington Prime Group, and Allied Security of several security shortcomings, including failing to have enough guards in visible areas to deter crime and failing to have surveillance cameras throughout the building. Since this incident, Paddock Mall has come under new ownership, CBL Properties. We reached out to them to ask if they have made any changes to safety and security measures. In a statement to News 6, they tell us in part, "While we don't publicly disclose details, we are committed to maintaining a comfortable and welcoming space for our tenants and our shoppers."
What do you want for your clients at the end of the day?
First and foremost, we want justice for what happened here. We want the mall to be held accountable, but ultimately the only thing my clients want is to get this message out that if you operate a business, whether it's a mall, a strip mall, a nightclub, an apartment complex, that if you do not take security seriously, you will be held accountable.
We asked Allied Security about the lawsuit, and Allied says they do not comment on pending litigation. So far, we haven't heard back from the old mall owner, so we'll keep checking back. And as for that big question, is the mall safer now? Well, the new mall owner sent me a revised statement, only adding that security is their top priority. Ocala police tell me they have stepped up patrols at the mall since the shooting.
We'll continue to follow this story and bring you any new details as it updates. I'm your Ocala community correspondent live in the newsroom, Emily McLeod, News 6.
All right, Emily, thank you.
Well, tonight, the Edgewater community is mourning Officer David Jewell, who was killed Monday. Officer Jewell was off duty when deputies say he was shot multiple times inside an Ormond-by-the-Sea gas station.
Now, people around the community are coming together to support the police department and Officer Jewell's family. A vigil was just held outside of the Edgewater Police Department. That's where our Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed is now.
Yeah, East Park Avenue here outside of Edgewater Police Department was packed in with city and state leaders and hundreds of residents from around Volusia County, all wanting to pay tribute to Officer David Jewell, and they were all gathered here outside of his police cruiser. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see just how much this memorial has grown over the last 2 days. It was a very emotional evening for those praying for support for his family and the fellow officers, and of course also for some answers. And many here again bringing flowers, leaving notes and wreaths, people telling us tonight they still want to honor the officer, and many still want to know why this happened. They describe him as a kind community man. Now, the Volusia Sheriff says Monday, 24-year-old Eduardo Machado, a cashier at the Ormond-by-the-Sea Circle K, shot and killed Jewell. Jewell was off duty and stopped into the store by his family's house. Surveillance video shows Jewell at the counter, then Machado walk in and raise the gun. The sheriff says Machado shot Jewell 24 times and still has not given a straightforward motive as far as why he did this. Now, we just spoke with one of Officer Jewell's closest friends here after the vigil about what this job meant to him.
You see a lot of bad things about cops, but obviously this is, you've got a prime example. Officer Jewell was not one of those guys. He's one that went above and beyond and did the job he loved. He talked about this job all the time, talked about his family and how much he loved it, how much we both loved this job.
And the community support, we keep telling you, continues to grow here. We spoke with residents earlier who are banding together for a charity ride next weekend. The city's GoFundMe for Jewell's family is already over $45,000, and we're told even more vigils are planned for the rest of the week. I'm your Volusia County Community Correspondent Molly Reed, News 6.
Okay, Molly, thank you. We have much more ahead coming up on News 6 at 6.
We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health, helping the communities we serve to feel whole.
More in our breaking news now. In Seminole County, deputies shot and killed a child pornography suspect.
Yeah, the sheriff just held a press conference. News 6's Troy Campbell was there for us. So, Troy, what are you learning there at the scene?
Yeah, it's still a pretty active scene. Right now we're standing at East Wekiva Trail and Hatfield Court. If you take a look behind me, you can see the investigators are here in the caution tape. So what we're hearing from the Seminole County Sheriff's Office is that their officers were out here conducting surveillance at one of the homes here at 102 Hatfield Court. And that's where they say 68-year-old Gary Guckenberger lives. Now, investigators say this all started last Tuesday when they received a tip that someone at the home possessed child pornography. Investigators say they got a search warrant and obtained several cell phones and computers. So they spent the last few days doing a forensic search where they say they discovered illegal material. So the sheriff's office, they were able to get an arrest warrant. Well, this afternoon, they saw Guckenberger out here in his driveway with his walker. So deputies approached him to make an arrest. However, they say he grabbed a .38 revolver and brandished it. Law enforcement says the deputies told him to put the gun down. They say he responded by saying, quote, "I have to." Sheriff Salima, he addressed us with the details of the shooting and what he's accused of. Take a listen.
To this point, we don't know of any children that have been victimized by him. There was no physical evidence that we have recovered so far to show that he actually acted out on this. And he walks out as we're conducting surveillance with his walker. When he walks outside, he's got a pair of shorts on, shirt. He's got a .38 revolver fully loaded in his waistband. He reaches for the revolver, pulls it out. The deputy says, "Don't do it, don't do it." He says, "I have to."
And again, investigators saying that 60-year-old Gary Guckenberger was shot and killed in the driveway of his home by the Seminole County Sheriff's Office this afternoon. They do say their investigation into his child pornography case is ongoing because they want to be able to identify any victims or find any other conspirators. And they do say no deputies were injured in this shooting. Live in Seminole County, Troy Campbell, News 6.
Troy Campbell, thank you.
All right, time now for a look at our forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas, and it was really coming down in buckets out there. How are things looking out there right now?
Things are nice and quiet, relatively speaking. I think we're going to quiet down. That's going to be the trend over the next couple of hours. Along the southeast of the Turnpike tonight, that's where we're looking for the storms to kind of linger a little bit. You see, we do have a flare-up of thunderstorms right around Bushnell and the Coleman tonight in Sumter County. Those are drifting back off to the south, and then the biggest stuff hanging around Kenansville tonight, that are at least pushing into Kenansville, and then we have the severe downpours pushing into Polk County. So I really suspect that, again, everywhere along and southwest of the Turnpike, that's going to be our best shot. Could have a few stray downpours further up I-4 to the evening, but nonetheless, I think the biggest opportunity is right where you see it. There's 7 to 8 o'clock. I think it's a little overdone. I think the biggest lifting up of these thunderstorms happened over the last hour or so, and then we'll continue to watch this trend fade. Overnight, we'll try to see a few downpours try to sneak on shore right along the Volusia and Space Coast, and then we'll watch for more storms to try to develop once we get into tomorrow afternoon. That is 4 o'clock, kind of the same deal. The further south you are, the better opportunity you're going to have for those storms. Now here's a look at your forecast.
Sponsored by Strata Air Conditioning and Heating. AC emergency, you ought to call Strata.
Temperature is going to get back into the mid to upper 80s. We're at 90 tomorrow in Mount Dora, though. 90 in the Villages. We're at 88 in Holopah. Rain chances back to 40% tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow marks the last day that we have a 90-degree average high temperature at the Orlando International Airport. Starting on Friday, the average dips to 89. So we're turning the corner just about. It's still obviously a long way to go before our first big cold front, but it's a sign that we are turning the corner, at least in some cooler days. 40% shot for storms over the next couple of days. We're going to keep that 40% chance for storms into the weekend. High temperatures teetering with that 90-degree mark. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to News 6. The high school football team in Port Orange is practicing with a healthy degree of confidence this week. The Spruce Creek Hawks pulled off a big win last Friday, defeating perennial power Mainland 20-16 on a last-minute touchdown. That win was no fluke. It was not an upset because Spruce Creek is good, off to a 4-0 start. News 6 checked in with the Hawks at practice today as they prepare to host Titusville this Friday night. Coach Andy Price says his team is just scratching the surface. Spruce Creek has not reached its potential.
Every coach wants to believe their kids are going to play to the last snap, and I feel like this far in the season we've proved that we will do that, and just resiliency for us.
Last year we probably had better talent, but this year we got better chemistry, and we wanted more.
I feel like it's just getting better and better. I feel like every day we're just getting closer, and I feel like the more we bond and mesh with each other, the better the team will get.
An Olympic gold medal winner shared wisdom today at UCF's Edition Financial Arena. Retired beach volleyball player Misty May Trainer was the honored guest at the 7th annual Celebrating Women in Sports Luncheon. It's been put on by the Greater Orlando Sports Commission year after year to honor women making a difference in the Central Florida sports scene. Misty May Trainer made a difference in her sport, that's for sure, winning 3 consecutive gold medals.
Once you have a goal, kind of put those blinders back on, right? And spearhead it. There's nothing wrong with being a leader in the industry, right? Don't take a back seat and be the first one.
All right, Jamie, thank you. A reminder of our breaking news. Law enforcement have swarmed a neighborhood in Longwood. They ended up shooting a child pornography suspect. It happened at Hatfield Court and East Wekiva Trail. The sheriff says the suspect, Gary Guckenberger, had a gun in his waistband. Deputies ended up opening fire on him. We have a crew on the scene trying to talk to neighbors and gather some details. We'll give you those coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on the News 6 Plus streaming app. We hope you'll join us then.
All right, we are watching a couple of thunderstorms out there. They're mainly going to be south and west of the Orlando metro area tonight. Those will gradually fizzle out. 40% shot for more storms tomorrow and into your weekend. High temperatures, guys, staying back into the upper 80s right on into your weekend.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. More news and weather coming up on clickgoorlando.com and the News 6 Plus streaming app at 9 o'clock.
We will see you then. Have a great night, everybody.